Loading UI, as the name implies, can be defined as an act of showing a loading UI on the web page while its original content is loading. When the content is ready, the UI will be displayed and the loading UI vanishes. This solves a lot of UX experience problems because it is a good design practice to let the user be aware that something is happening. There are different ways to show a loader in a Next.js application, which are creating a special file named loading.tsx in the route or nested route, and streaming with suspense. The loading.tsx can render skeletons, spinners, or a GIF indicating that a page is currently loading while the user waits for the content to appear. Let's start with creating the loading.tsx file right away in the project. We have the loading.tsx file defined in the learning route. So let's just return a paragraph. Content is loading. You can also return a GIF or a skeleton. So in the page.tsx, a promise is being used to delay the page for 5 seconds. So in order for us to see the loading indicator or the loading content, so the promise is going to kind of simulate a delay. So if we run this in a browser, refresh the page, you can see content is loading. So after 5 seconds, then the view content is going to be displayed. Behind the scene, when the loading.tsx component is found, it automatically wraps the page component with a suspense and shows the contents in the loading.tsx file TSS component until the page component is ready to be rendered. So what is a suspense? Before discussing suspense, you need to know how Next.js renders content. The Next.js server can only render content when it becomes available, and this can become slow because the content or data needs to be available before the page renders. This is why streaming with suspense is important, especially when the page is fetching data that is time consuming. Streaming with suspense solves this problem by breaking down the page into chunks by wrapping the components or parts of the UI with a suspense. By using this approach, parts of the page can be rendered while some keeps loading. Therefore, you don't have to wait for the entire page to load. Let's experiment with this in code. So just as you can see on the screen, the code on the left, we have a suspense that wraps the country component. So the country component is coming from the page on the right. Is getting data from REST countries API and returning the name of the country. So it's something that's going to take some time. So it's being wrapped in a suspense and it's going to show a fallback UI loading until the content becomes available. That is the country. So we also have another div tag that just shows another UI while the first one loads. So let's try to see this from a code point of view. So in the dashboard, we have the suspense and we have the component country. So the country is going to fetch two countries, Germany and Spain. So it's going to fetch this from a backend. So for now, let's just return the country name for Spain and Germany. So let's have this backend up and running. So the backend is currently on okay, so let's try to start it up. Good. Let's check if that data is available. Let's check it in Swagger. Okay. Okay, to confirm the routes dashboard. You can see if you look at the tests, you noticed something going on. So it's actually the loading test that is trying to show, but there's not enough time. So we can also try to delay this just as we did with promise. So let's delay this for 5 seconds. Now we have the loading test showing and the other UI is being rendered. Now it's available. So that's the beauty of suspense.